I'm Laura Daniel, and welcome to Laura Loves New York. I have the most incredible guest with me today. It's blowing my mind. This is the fabulously, divinely funny Deb Snyder. Hello, everyone say hi, Deb.
Hi, everybody. Hi, Laura. Love you. And I love New York.
You've probably seen Deb all over television. She is the queen of commercials. She got her start with a starring role in Ang Lee's film Pushing Hands, and she was recently on Big Little Lies with Reese Witherspoon.
You look so cute. I love the guitars behind you.
I'm learning to play banjo. I was hoping to be able to do your theme song in banjo, but I can't get the F sharp and the G sharp yet. So.
If Laura loves New York and I love Laura, then that must mean New York loves me. Woohoo! Virtual cocktail toast to Laura. Love, Deb from LA.
I don't even know where to begin because you have such a incredible...
Are you saying I'm old?
No!
Are you saying I'm old?
No! Must have been like 5 when you were here in New York working on the stage.
It is true. I was born and raised in New York for the first 9 years of my life, and then tragedy happened in the late 60s, and things went haywire. But my roots were New York, and they always have been.
So if everything went haywire, where did you go?
I went to Illinois. I went from being a city kid, great upbringing, star-studded in the business, to a 3-acre farm. I mean, my dad's group was singing in the Kraft Music Hall, so I was around people like Angie Dickinson, Burt Bacharach. I was at Burgess Meredith's house, because that's where my dad's choraleers, who were very famous singers, would rehearse. And I go to running around on a farm with cows and chickens and pigs and bare feet. But being a kid who was in a different school every year, it was hard to settle into a group. So I find there's a lot of people who have this story in divorce. We all as kids have something that's happened to us that's caused us to shake up a little bit. I find it a very creative well now.
There you go.
Deb got bit by the acting bug in high school and college, and from there she went to England and New York.
Something I have kept from New York for over 30 years. I went to England, so I fell in love with bowlers. And in the 90s, there was a very famous hat shop called JJ's Hat Center. And I still have my bowler from New York.
Oh, it's fabulous.
It's dusty, it's beat up, and I love it.
I wish I would have known. I would have got my bowler hat out of my closet. So did you study in London? Did you study acting?
I was studying with a lot of brilliant teachers from RADA and Lambda, and I'm going to tell you, they loved students over there. I got to see amazing theater for 50 pence because we were starving, because the dollar was so low compared to the pound. So we were barely surviving over there. But anywhere on the continent in Europe that we tried, I saw theater all over the place. I took myself to... Macbeth in Rome.
Wow!
Domani!
How did you develop your delicious sense of humor?
Pain.
Okay.
I think it's innate. It's not that I don't get sad. It's not that I don't go, why not me? But the way I bounce back is to look around me and go, I'm still breathing. I still got 2 dogs. I got a garden full of what I thought were going to be beets, but are pumpkins. Don't ask me how. That to me is amusing. It's just, and I ride a motorcycle. I
Let's go for a ride. Hang out in the countryside.
It's about letting go, maybe. I don't know. Do you think some people are born with humor and some not? I don't know.
I don't know. That's a great question. I think.
Can you learn humor?
I grew up on Mel Brooks.
I mean, Phyllis Diller, Sherry Lamb. I grew up with them. You know what I mean? They taught me their humor.
Yeah.
I mean, I watched, they didn't teach me. I watched, you just watch.
If anybody hasn't seen Sid Caesar, Google him.
You know, but there are people who have an edge to them and people who don't. So I guess it's up to your brand.
It is. It is. So Deb and I met through this amazing woman called Bonnie Gillespie, who is an independent casting director. Yeah, but she also does all this incredible work, self-management for actors. And I think that's where you and I met, was in the masterclass.
Yes, it is.
Yep. And Bonnie, again, just is so great with mindset and the business and all the different pieces that you need. I want to say to you, how did you develop your brand? How did you discover your brand of zany Debness?
I would rather do stand-up in a leotard wearing a diaper than compete in a dance competition.
So when did you decide to get into the sample game?
Right after I got into the teen pregnancy game.
Okay, now for some starter jokes.
Is that necessary?
Yeah, when was the last time you were out on a date? Honey, you know how to pick 'em. I'd like to fall into those arms.
That's against the rules.
What's your name, sugar?
Riley.
Well, Riley, I never let that stop me when I was your age.
I went through the period of time where we had to identify with another actor, or you're a this, or you're a that. So then I started to look at what the actual adjectives were said about these people. Because I was actually compared to Thelma Ritter, Eve Arden, and Pat Carroll. When I was working for Nicky Silver in New York, those are the three women I was actually compared to. Eve Arden was somebody I completely identified with. I loved her dry, sarcastic humor. Not quite my humor.
You have bubbles. It's so interesting because I love those ladies. I mean, I always think of Pat Carroll with with Ursula in The Little Mermaid, that low. Yeah. And you've got bubbles, and I'm like, you're like champagne, sister. I feel like maybe that's why we groove together, because we're both bubbly.
We're bubbles. I've decided that I made Nicky Silver and Ang Lee famous, by the way, because they worked with me and went on to have two of the biggest careers of anybody that I actually got to work with.
Well, and Ang Lee is one of my favorite directors.
Deb booked the lead female role in Ang Lee's film Pushing Hands when she saw an open call for the film in backstage.
I sent my black and white headshot in.
Wow.
It took me 4 weeks to audition for Ang Lee, James Seamus, and Ted Hope. It was Good Machine Productions. 4 weeks of auditioning, the first round, got a call back to the second round, which was an improv. Thank you. Third round, I had to read with the guy who was going to play my husband.
Yeah.
I touched his hand in the improv with him. I just reached over and touched his hand. I gave myself permission to act like his wife, And then the fourth audition was I had to audition with different women who were going to be the best friend to this woman. Then I had to wait another week to be told I booked it. So It was a long process.
From Ang Lee, the internationally acclaimed director of The Wedding Banquet and Eat, Drink, Man, Woman, comes a touching story about the master of an ancient martial art called Pushing Hands.
I grew up believing you should care for your parents the way they care for you. My father is a part of me. Why can't you accept that?
When a widowed Tai Chi master from China comes to live with his son's family in America, the cultural barrier between East and West is put to the test.
I have spent every single day in the same room with that man since he showed up here. Alex, it's impossible.
I'm his only son. What do you want me to do?
You could at least consider moving into a bigger place. We can afford it.
No.
It was 3 weeks in Riverdale, next to Yonkers. I stayed at my grandmother's house in Yonkers on Cortlandt Avenue. I put on my Celtics jacket because I did my master's degree in Boston. And I put Aerosmith's Pump on my headsets, and I'd walk to set every day.
Oh, I love that album.
I was very grateful to James Seamus and Ted Hope, very grateful to Ang Lee. Hi, Ang. We love you. You're amazing. He's an amazing storyteller to me. I love his story.
Yes.
And a gentle, kind, beautiful man on set. So that was I was lucky. Now, interestingly enough, I was in Ang Lee's film. I was a star in that piece. I was the lead female in that piece. But in most of Nicky Silver's plays, I played huge roles, but the quirky sidekick, which is much more my fit.
Nicky Silver is one of my favorite playwrights who's written tons of plays off Broadway. His play The Lions was recently mounted on Broadway with Linda Lavin.
I met him at an audition, and he was just, it blew my mind because I'm like, oh God, I'm getting to audition for Nicky, and he offered me a cookie afterward.
He's brilliant. You want to hear the story of how I met Nicky Silver? Because I read backstage. I saw Nicky Silver's advertisement. It was the Vortex Theater Company down on 23rd in the West End. Walked down to the West End by myself at night. Girl does what a girl does. I loved the play. It was so dark and so different. This is actually a different play. That Free Will and Wanton Lust was the second play I did for him. So I went to his apartment. He hands me, he says, I want to see you do what you did on the stage yesterday. So, not knowing any better, I pick it up and I do what I did on the stage yesterday. And he goes, you're hired. So that was it. I started working with Nicky Silver.
That's awesome.
Deb's humor makes her a natural for commercials, and I was so excited when I saw her do the Christmas commercial for Bombas socks.
And I'm like, oh my God, it's Deb, and one of my favorite things.
You want to know something about that commercial?
Sure.
That was the hardest I have ever worked on a commercial set in my life.
Save me a bite.
I had to stay focused. I had to stay calm because I was around a fairly new set dog who was adorable, but it's a different type of a partner.
Oh, completely.
I was sensitive to the dog, so thank goodness for that.
Save me a bite. What are you doing? You ate it all.
Okay.
In Florida, when I moved to Florida, which I will say, moving from New York to Florida, I had to learn the commercial skill. I did not have the commercial skill in New York. I had the theater skill, which is a dynamite skill to have. Never doubt your theater experience. It's fabulous and people love it.
They do.
Because you know how to put the character together and figure out where your character's starting 20 pages into a script. You know that.
Yep.
You. And but it was fun, Laura. It was good. I think, it's funny when it comes down to it, it's about being professional and being aware when you're on a set. What do I have to do to succeed on this set? What do I have to do to tell this advertiser's story?
And that takes us to Deb's guest starring role in season 2 of Big Little Lies.
This is what happens to you as a guest star. It was moving up a tier. I was very excited. David Rubin was the casting director. Fabulous man. Just so you know, I did 9 auditions for him. And I finally got cast. You can't think 1, 2, or 3 and that's it. Sometimes it's 20. And you might not hear for another year from these people. As long as you're being invited into that office, celebrate because you've gotten somewhere.
Yeah.
Because, you feel really good when you book something. We got to all admit that. We feel like $1 million, even though we're learning how to validate ourselves as artists without that booking. And that's something I have had to learn. And studying with Bonnie Gillespie has really helped me to understand that because of so much rejection in this. I don't think anybody's, doesn't face rejection at whatever level they're at.
Right.
So I had a fabulous time on that set and very professional set. Amazing director, Andrea Arnold, amazing crew, wonderful cast. And I had 2 hours of joy I was improvising a song, basically. So I sang the song, and then it was, an EST moment where you're doing group feel stuff. And then the director comes out and secretly whispers in my ear, could you just make a couple changes to a couple words? And I said, sure. So improv skills are really fun and important. And if you just believe in yourself, they're dynamite.
Yep.
And so I started changing up 1 or 2 words. And then at the break, I walked back and I said, do you mind if I rewrite the whole song? And she said, go ahead, try it.
Oh, good.
Take after take after take. I just kept coming out with a dip. Now remember, I write songs, so this isn't hard for me to do.
Deb is part of the singer-songwriting team PBnDeb, in which she writes children's songs with the fabulous Philip Bynoe. And before that, she was rocking and rolling with the band Escape in Boston.
hat was behind my head, and everybody kept going, can you sing? Can you really sing? Can you sing? And when the camera was behind my head, I sang it just like Julie Andrews, whose song it was. Absolutely, it's in her voice, and they just all looked at me. They go, I knew you could sing. So I don't know what possessed me, but the entire thing got cut. But the lesson I took was, you know what? Nobody can take away from me the fact that I did that work.
Completely. Yes.
Nobody can take that away, that I had that experience. You know?
Now we know. Now we know. I love that. I love that so much, though. We all have so many stories inside of us. And I think that's why you're such a great actor, because you are a great storyteller.
Deb formed Wise Women Films with Melinda Farrington and Julie Markowitz, and they have a lot of cool shows in the hopper, including Eve and Edna.
In honor of Eve Arden, I played.
Deb wrote and produced all of the episodes about two friends helping each other through the ups and downs of life, and of course there's a musical number.
There's something about you makes me want to call you friend. The kind of a friendship I never want to end.
And then Meet Me at the Bar.
No, that's Cynthia Gravenise's piece. That's her baby. So she's doing a spot-on great job. She's learning how to be an executive producer and a star of a show, and God bless her, because it's a lot of work.
Meet Me at the Bar is a female-driven project because, as we know, as you age in this business, it gets harder and harder to work.
The ladies of a certain age banner plastered across our foreheads definitely kills the glamour.
And let's just own it and win it.
2, 3.
So my last question, this is my big question that I ask, which is, if you had any advice you could tell your younger self, what would it be?
It's a journey, baby. I've thought about this one for a long time. It is a journey. And if you really love it, I would change the conversation from, if you can do anything else, do it, give up acting, because like a lot of artists, we can't give it up. It's something we love. So Younger Debbie, it's going to be a long journey for you. You are not one of those people who are picked out and made a star, but you know what? That's okay, baby girl. That's okay. Just keep doing what you're doing. You have a voice. Let it sing. Let it edit. Let it cry. Let it play music. Just get out there and create.
And you shine. Deb, you shine so brightly to me. You are a star. And I know your younger self was also a star too. I think it's our terminology, our labeling, how we choose to see ourselves. Sometimes we don't see how bright we are. And you are so bright and beautiful. And I'm so thankful you spent this time with us today. Thank you.
You should know it, my bubble sister, because you're pretty darn amazing yourself. My bubble sister. We got to come up with an image.
We do.
Bubble sister. Bubble sister. You are my bubble sister.
Yeah. Woo! Oh my gosh, Deb, they're doing can you hear them?
Yay, first responders!
We live next to a hospital, and the fire trucks come by every night, and it's just like shouting it out. Love you, New York! Woo!
You know, my brother's a first responder. He's a doctor, an anesthesiologist.
Oh, that is amazing. Again, thank you so much for joining us today, for sharing your light and your lessons and all your fun stories.
I am completely honored to be on your show, Laura, because I love it. I think you do a brilliant job, and you make me very nostalgic for New York when I see all the different places you go to.
You know, it's so funny because talking to you, I feel like you are so New York to me. If you want to find Deb, she's at debsnyder.me, or on IMDb. There's also so much great YouTube stuff.
There's something about you makes me wanna call you friend. There's something about you makes me wanna call you friend. And we'll share all our hopes, and we'll share all our fears, and we'll share all our laughter and some of our tears. 'Cause a friend is always there, through the good times and the bad. I guess that's the version that needed to come out today.
I love it so much.
Be the bubbles. Bubble.
I love you. You're amazing.